chess friends, and welcome to Jozarov's chess channel, and welcome to my best chess games of all time series. So in this series we see the best of the best chess games that have been ever played in chess history, and today I wanted to show you a very cool game, an Immortal game played by the top grandmaster Mikhail Tal, the magician from Riga, one of the best players in chess history. And he played the game with the black pieces against Milko Bobotsov, who was a Bulgarian master, and it was a game played between Bulgaria and the USSR. And but before we analyze the game, there's really one cool story about this game, because Mikhail Tal wasn't sort of a guy who liked to learn chess, who wanted to study chess. He wanted basically just only to play chess, and his coaches were sometimes angry with him because when he had to prepare for a game, he didn't want to analyze the particular variations, the particular lines. He basically wanted to play chess and didn't care what the coaches said. So he was a stubborn guy, but when you come I think we can come to a conclusion that he enjoyed chess, and maybe it was his life to just play chess, and I respect it. It's not about that. Maybe you try to make some more progress. Maybe if he enjoyed just to play chess, just to play some tactical chess, maybe not the best positional chess, but I think he really enjoyed the chess. And it was really part of his preparation against this in the game against Milko Bobotsov, and he prepared only by playing chess again. His coaches were angry, and he was just playing with black pieces because tomorrow he has to play with the black pieces against Bobotsov, and he played only with black pieces, one particular opening, one particular line. And the funny thing was that Milko Bobotsov could see what Mikhail Tal is preparing for tomorrow, because he played only this line against his coach, and he played it for the whole night, for the whole day, and any of these players who participated in the game could see what Mikhail Tal is preparing tomorrow. And the funny thing is that Milko Bobotsov could have maybe gone into another line, into another opening, but no, he went into this prepared line. He saw what are the possibilities for Mikhail Tal in this opening, and he got crushed with an Immortal queen sacrifice. Unbelievable stuff, I think, because he could have changed maybe just one move in the opening and get a better continuation, or prepared himself for something else, but he didn't. He went into a well-known tactical line that, of course, Mikhail Tal knows everything about, and he got really punished because of that. So let's see the game. D4 was played by Bobotsov. We have knight on f6, we have c4, g6, and now knight on c3, bishop on g7. So we have the king's Indian. There are now many possibilities for white to continue here. Here we have e4, d6, and now f3. We have the same-ish attack, which is a good opening line, I think, against the king's Indian. And that was the game that Mikhail Tal was preparing for, and here he simply castled. It's the common move in the king's Indian. We have knight from g to e2, and now here c5 played by Mikhail Tal. So now bishop on e3, still common theory, and there are this pawn sacrifice lines with knight on c6. But here, first, Mikhail Tal goes into this knight from b to d7 variation, protecting the c5 pawn. The c5 pawn was attacked twice by white, and here, queen on d2. Still common theory. The idea for white is here, of course, to play the move bishop on h6, and then create a flank attack with the move h4, h5, and g4, g5 on similar ideas. Somehow open the h-file, trade off these bishops, and create maybe some checkmate threats on the h-file. So that are these common ideas. I like always to explain it. But when you play this move queen on d2, you basically showed your cards immediately, because you showed your opponent that you're gonna probably go into this kingside attack with the move h4. So that's why here Mikhail Tal immediately creates a counter-attack with the move a6, of course with the preparation to play the move b5 and launch himself a flank attack, but on the queen side. So Here you see that Mikhail Tal doesn't lose tempos, doesn't lose time. He simply goes forward and creates now a very powerful attack. So queenside castling is played. Now we have really an opposite castling situation, so that's why we will have probably an opposite side attack. And here Mikhail Tal played the move queen on a5, and that's the move that everyone was laughing about while in the Mikhail Tal's preparation, among them also Milko Bobotsov. I'm not sure that all of the stories really are true. I just read some articles, but here in the article it wrote that here Bobotsov laughed about this move queen on a5. You'll see why, because here king on b1 is white's preparation here, and the idea is that now we have this tactical motif knight on d5, creating a discovered attack on the queen, and if you take the queen on d2, then we have an in-between check, here knight on e7. Of course the king has to move, and then we can grab the queen, and we're continuing the game with one pawn up as white, and this is of course a better continuation for white. That's why this king on b1 is important. So if knight on d5, then we don't have this in between check by taking the queen on d2. And here Mikhail Tal doesn't care for this tactical motif which Milko Bobotsov has prepared, which Milko Bobotsov saw the last day that Mikhail Tal has prepared. Here Mikhail Tal plays the move b5, and you see now c takes b5 here is really bad, because after a takes b5 here knight on c1 has to be played, because the threat is of course to play the move b4, and if the knight goes maybe somewhere to d5, we can here create a very dangerous attack on a2. So that's why knight on c1 would be the continuation, now b4 anyway, and here after knight on d5, knight takes on d5, e takes d5, and now knight on b6 is really dangerous, because here after d takes c5 we can play d takes c5, and if white tries now maybe a queenside attack, kingside attack here with the move g4, we can play a very dangerous move, knight on a4. After knight on d3, here knight on b2 can be played, and after knight on b2 here queen on a2, and this is really dangerous here. So it's basically game over, because we have a forced mate in 4. So of course there are maybe some better moves, but you see how dangerous this attack by black is if you take c takes b5. That's why now comes this Bobotsov line, which is a bad line, which was probably prepared by him. So he played here the move knight on d5, now creating the discovered attack on the queen, with the preparation to play this in-between check on e7. But let's see what happens if you play something like queen on d8 in order to prevent these ideas. Then we can play simply knight on f6. After bishop takes on f6, we can play d takes c5, and you cannot take this pawn, because if you take d takes c5, then we have bishop takes on c5, and you cannot take with the queen with the knight, because we have a very powerful battery here on the d file. So if you take out here the queen, and then as I said, we have this in-between check, knight takes on e7, king on h8 has to be played, and now we can simply take this queen on d2, and we are continuing the game with one pawn up, and it will be also a better continuation for white. So but here after knight on d5, Mikhail Tal played this immortal move here. He played knight takes on d5, and he leaves the queen hanging. Queen takes on e5 was played, but now here Mikhail Tal can take this bishop on e3. Here rook on c1 was played, getting out from this attack by this knight. Maybe a better idea would have been to play maybe here rook on d3, getting a more compact position, getting this rook more defensive, get into the game, because here after knight on c4 maybe we can play something like knight on b3 and have at least one protector in front of the king. But here rook on c1 was played, and now knight takes on knight takes on c4. And here white could have maybe gone queen on e1, but still black, I think, with this very centralized knight, with this support maybe by the rook on b8, and by simple developing the bishop on b7, well, also we can bring this other knight somehow in the attack. The evaluation is slightly better for white here, but from a computer evaluation point of view, but from a human perspective, this bishop is really deadly, and we are aiming on this very weak b2 pawn. So that's why Bobotsov tried here rook takes on c4, just in order to undermine this very big pressure that Mikhail Tal has created with this knight. This knight was really annoying here on the c4 square. That's why rook takes on c4. We have b takes c4, and now knight on c1. Now rook on b8, of course, played by Mikhail Tal. Bishop takes on c4, and now knight on b6. Maybe bishop on a6 would have been a better move, getting rid of this weak bishop, because this bishop is staying only on this diagonal. These pawns are all on the like squares, so these pawns are a little bit blocking out the bishop's activity. And here, after knight on b6, Bobotsov choose here the move bishop on b3. But now Tal simply took the pawn here on d4, and here you see now we have a powerful bishop. We have a very nice centralized knight, because the knight is supporting this potential c4 move, which is also important. And basically what we want to do is bring this other rook into the game and create a very powerful attack with these rooks and these three minor pieces. So that's why here queen on d2, getting the queen in the defense around the king, and now bishop on g7. Knight on e2 was played, and now comes c4. So you see, we are kicking away now white's pieces. The white's pieces are really passive here, all of them. This rook hasn't played in the game anyway, so basically white played the whole game without the rook. So here bishop on c2, and now very powerful move, Mikhail Tal move, c3. So we want, of course, the position to get open. If you take knight takes on c3, then knight on c4 is very dangerous, again aiming on this main weakness in white's position, and it's this pawn on b2. So that's why queen on d3, and here Mikhail Tal simply took c takes b2, and now this pawn is basically like a piece. It's at least powerful like a knight, or maybe like a bishop. Knight on d4 was played, trying of course to cut off this very important diagonal for this bishop, but now bishop on d7 was played, and now rook on d1. Finally white brings the rook into the game, but it's already too late. But now rook on c8 was played, and now we have really a powerful attack with the possibilities to bring the knight into the game. This bishop is also very active, controlling these two very important diagonals. Bishop on b3 was played, and now knight on a4. And you see the threat was to play here knight on c3, with the fork on the rook and the king. And if you try something like rook on d2, you get checkmated in one. So that's why again Milko Bobotsov decided to take off this annoying knights around the king. He played bishop takes on a4, bishop takes on a4, and now knight on b3. Now Mikhail Tal, of course, finds this best move, rook on c3, getting this rook more into the attack. And now we have queen on a6, and now bishop takes on b3, a takes b3, and now doubling up rooks on the c file. And this is already game over, but let's see the continuation. These rooks are powerful. If you take, of course, king on b2, then you have rook on c6 with the discovered check, and you lose the queen. So here queen on a3 was played, but now rook on c1, rook takes on c1, and rook takes on c1, and it's a very nice checkmate here. If you try rook king on a2, then you get checkmated here on a1. So great game by Mikhail Tal. This was the decisive moment in the game. Let's see here. after knight on d5, here Mikhail Tal decides to give up his queen. Knight takes on d5. We have queen takes on a5, but now getting another piece. Knight on knight on e3, rook on c1, and here fixing the knight on this very active square. This knight was really annoying. That's why Milko Bobotsov decided to take it off. But you see, then the b file got opened, and it was really dangerous here around white's king. Great game by Mikhail Tal. As said, he didn't prepare for this game at all. He played basically one game against his coaches, one particular opponent, only with black pieces. He prepared simply by playing blitz chess, and I think he enjoyed this game. He enjoyed also these preparations, because you know that Mikhail Tal was really one of the best chess players in history, and he played here really like he had some fun. So I hope you enjoyed this game, and meanwhile you can watch my other commented chess games with some other Mikhail Tal, Bobby Fischer, Garry Kasparov, and many more of these top grandmasters. And you can also watch my commented chess games played by computers with some Lila C0, Stockfish, and Alpha Zero, and many of these top engines games. And you can also subscribe to my channel if you like the content. Thanks you for watching, guys, and chess is the best, of course.